Well, would you look at that? The Federal Reserve is now finally coming out with some data saying, hey, look, I guess we are in a recession. If you take a look at this article, the Atlanta Fed GDP tracker shows the United States economy is likely in a recession. This comes after the first quarter of this year, them constantly beating the drum over and over and over again that there's no way we're in a recession. The estimates for GDP growth for quarter one were that there would be slight growth, and it turned out the GDP actually contracted during quarter one. At that moment, which was beginning of April, I started telling you we are already in a recession because a recession is 2 consecutive quarters of a decline in GDP. And turns out that now, as of July 1st, the Atlanta Fed's GDP tracker is showing, looks like GDP probably did contract in the second quarter as well. So we're going to take a look at what that means for you. Ready? Let's dive in. All right, take a look with me at the GDP Now numbers from the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta. We can see that their latest estimate here is negative 2.1% for GDP's growth during the second quarter of this year. Taking a look at this chart, we see the green line shows their current estimate, which shows a very, very sharp drop off over the last couple of weeks. If we combine that with the first quarter's decline, which came out at a negative 1.6%, that would definitely fit the recession definition. Again, 2 quarters in a row where GDP contracts instead of grows. Now, we won't know for sure until later at the end of the month of July. On July 28th is when the official numbers for Q2 GDP comes out. However, these advanced estimates usually tend to be pretty accurate. And if they're already saying down 2%, then there's a good chance it's going to be somewhere in the negative territory, even if it's not as negative as 2.1%. So the question is, what does this mean for you and me? Because everybody is looking at this data right now and thinking the Federal Reserve is going to pivot. In fact, on Friday, the stock market actually rallied in anticipation of the Federal Reserve taking a look at this data and saying, hey, we're in a recession now. That changes things. We're not going to hike rates as aggressively. Maybe we'll pause on that. Maybe we won't let assets bleed off our balance sheet as aggressively. And so the market is expecting a pivot. And I am still beating the drum of the Fed doesn't care right now. The only thing that they're trying to do that they've been signaling consistently for months now is stopping inflation. Now, they've got a long way to go here. It's very likely that the inflation numbers stay elevated beyond where they would like to see them for a long time. And that's what they're looking at here. They're looking at the job numbers and they're looking at the inflation numbers. They don't care about GDP. They don't care about the stock market. They don't care about bond prices. They don't care about companies defaulting on their debt as long as it doesn't spill over into contagion. They don't care if you lose your job. The only thing that they're watching is number one, inflation. That's their top concern right now. And that's what they've been saying consistently month after month after month, even though they haven't gotten as aggressive as they probably should have to fight inflation or as quick as they should have, let's say a year ago. The only thing that might stop them in their tracks is a massive wave of unemployment. Now, the reason why that would stop them in their tracks is because that's the other side of their mandate. From Congress, they have 2 jobs. One of them is stable prices. The other one is maximum employment. We don't have maximum employment right now, but the measure that they use to look at employment is job openings, because they're basically saying, hey, as long as there's still job openings, people can get a job if they want. The problem is their data is very backwards looking. So by the time the job losses start, by the time the layoffs start sweeping the nation, by the time that shows up in their numbers that they're watching, it'll have been happening for a very long time there. It's not going to be like, hey, we see job layoffs, happening right now. People are losing their job right now, so we're going to get less aggressive with fighting inflation. No, they're going after inflation. The stock market's going to continue to take hits. The bond market's going to continue to take hits. Crypto's going to continue to take hits. There's going to be economic pain. And by the time unemployment has gotten to the point where it's big enough of a problem to hit their data, that's when they will take a look at pivoting. In my opinion, it's not going to happen any time before that. And so yes, we are in a recession right now. Yes, the recession has been happening for 6 months now, the entire first half of this year. My expectation is the recession continues and gets even worse and more painful for more and more Americans until we have sweeping job losses across the country. In my opinion, that's going to be the thing that will change the Fed's mind if something is going to. Obviously, we will have to wait and see, but based on the numbers coming out right now, a slight contraction in GDP, it will do nothing to deter the Fed from fighting inflation. That's their top priority right now. Even if they're not doing it the way that you and I think they should, as aggressively or as quickly as somebody might think they should, that's the one thing that is on the top priority of their list right now. Let me know in the comment section if you agree or disagree with me. As always, we'll have to wait and see, and thank you so much for watching. You guys have a great day.